So this week my wrist has been completely just jacked up, which has been making gaming really interesting, making writing even more so, which is why this is going to be more of an overview show than actually getting to all the fiddly details of things. Because this week on the show I kind of want to talk about something that is near and dear to the hearts of gamers everywhere, because this week we're talking about grinding, and of course we're talking about, farming. Before we dive into this, I'll state my opinion so there's at least some transparency here. I loathe grinding. I've actually stopped playing some console RPGs in the past because of the practice. Now, that said, I will attempt to present this as neutrally as possible, but keep in mind that this is something that seriously irritates me. Now, the practice does go by several names, but grinding is the one everybody uses. Now, in gaming terms, grinding is doing a repetitive task over and over again for the sole purpose of gaining experience points. A related practice is farming, which is doing a repetitive task over and over again for items. I'm oversimplifying, but you get the idea. A friend of mine once told me that hell is repetition. The fact that he's told me this about a dozen times has not escaped me. So in practice, how does this work? Well, you have to realize that in the world of the RPG, everything you kill gives experience points, which is a very basic scoring system. We're going to call it XP for short from now on. The tougher the enemy, the more points that it gives you. Well, nothing new here. Scores have been the backbone of video games since day one, but the difference here is that the score directly relates to your power. The higher your XP score, the more damage you do. Still with me? Alright, good. Now, several RPGs will actually require your XP to be a minimum number to allow you to continue the game, and this is where in the past I've just turned off the game and left. The game requires you to kill the same monsters over and over and over to build your XP to the minimum level, and frankly, after the 15th battle against the same critters, it ceases to be fun. In fact, this becomes its own metagame in which you try to figure out the most efficient and simplest way to gain XP. Many gamers can tell you tales of rubber banding their controllers to hold down a button and just walking away from the machine for hours. Now, it's stuff like this that kills all of the defenses of grinding. And oh yes, there are people who defend grinding. Then again, there's also people who enjoy watching NASCAR. Go fast, turn left. Go fast, turn left. Go fast, turn left. Oh, that's gonna piss someone off for sure. There are many schools of thought on why grinding is not a bad thing. One of them is it supposedly levels the game so it's accessible to everyone. You know, the not-so-good players can grind for days and achieve a level up, while great players can do it in hours, at least in theory. Now, I would buy into this if there were any skill involved, but most grinding is just mechanical busy work that requires minimal input from the players, hence the BDSM controllers. Another defense is that it gives even the worst players a sense of achievement. You know, you can grind for days and level up. Achievement! In fact, many games just use these achievements as a way to justify grinding bad guys. You know, kill 500 whatever achievements, but then again, they'll make anything an achievement, so, The third defense is that without the grind, the reward is not really earned. Now, this argument usually comes from the hardcore crowd who tell me that I'm just an entitled casual gamer who thinks the world should be handed to them on a silver platter. No, I just have better things to do today that don't involve spending days playing the same level over and over and over, blather, rinse, repeat style. Exhibit A, something I need to be doing today. Jazz hands meta! Unrealistically long grinds do weed out players who simply just don't want to put up with the crap of spending days, weeks, and sometimes months trying to earn that one upgrade that lets them progress in the game. Now, it's awfully nice of these game companies to offer a boost in the speed of grinding in exchange for a little bit of your real-world coin. Or, I guess more correctly, real-world paper, but for the hardcore gamers, they see this as separating the real players from the so-called casuals. No, I'm one of those people that thinks it's a lot more simple than that. So you want to add 3 or 4 more hours of gameplay to your game? Add some grinding to it. You want to brag about how many hours your average person plays the game and you want to make them play your game longer? Add some grinding to it. Now let's add a random element, like an old Skinner box technique or two, and you got farming. You see a lot more farming at endgame when characters are maxed out level-wise and no longer needs to grind for XP. Instead, you grind for in-game items. Mostly money, materials, and other stuff like that. A good example of this comes from the special events in MMORPGs. Now, during a few-week period, players have the opportunity to get special items that just aren't available for the rest of the year. They can be anything from cosmetic mods to stuff that does make your character more powerful, and the only way to get them? Do the missions they offer you every day. This is lovingly called, appropriately enough, dailies. Now, many MMOs have solo daily content, but these event dailies are different in that there's a sense of urgency to them. An event is only so long, and if you miss the window of opportunity, you gotta wait till next year to try again. assuming naturally the event still exists in the same format next year with the same items, and companies change these events from year to year. So if you've got multiple characters, you might want to try to run them through the daily event to get the rewards, and some of these events can take an hour to complete, maybe more, and that's per character.
Oh, but wait, it doesn't have to take that long because they intentionally draw it out, make it feel like you're playing longer so you have a better sense of accomplishment once you're done. No, I'm not bitter. Why?
DCUO can get pretty bad sometimes. Easily, there are dozens of people fighting for a single resource, and it can be a matter of blind luck as to who gets it. Assuming that you're not standing around waiting for the specific bad guy to respawn or the item to just randomly appear. And then there's the wild card of the world boss fight, in which you're gambling that 3 other people know exactly what to do, or they're just playing for their own agenda and their own achievements. So, something that should take 15 minutes? Yeah, I've spent hours on one character basically waiting for spawns, other players, whatever. More often you find farming in games like World of Warcraft, in which you're trying to search to get materials for crafting. Now, crafting will make your unobtainium sword more powerful, so it's either farming nodes for hours or grinding mobs for money to pay the gold farmers in the auction house
Gold farmers. We'll cover that next show.
Any way you cut it, farming and grinding is basically a trade. You're trading some of your time for power in the game or for a unique item. Now, the game is essentially withholding something from you, carrot on a stick style, promising you that if you just spend a little more time in game, you'll get it. Here's where my bias is really going to show, because I feel there's no real reason to do this other than to keep people playing, or because your game has no real content. So, keeping players grinding on the same missions over and over produces hours of apparent content with actually nothing really being there. But is all the grinding work bad? Oh no, not all of it. I mean, in DCUO, I kind of like the alert and raid content that you can do for the daily reward. I like the instant teamwork aspect and the challenge of changing my strategy around the strengths and weaknesses of my new teammates. And some could argue that solo grinding is relaxing. It's mindless, so you can get into a meditative state, clear your mind, and work out other issues happening in the real world.
No! Grinding is not relaxing. It's annoying. Look, you're gonna give me the item and you're gonna give me the money anyway, so why are you stalling on this one? You wanna know what's not fun? What's not fun is having somebody taunt you for hours on end with this thing saying, hey, I might give this to you, and in the end, they don't give it to you at all. It's basically grinding busy work that's for minimal reward, and the real world does that enough. I don't need to do that for fun in a game, and games are supposed to be fun, not annoying. I'm not a fan, does it show? And on a related note, here's my promise. If this show ever gets picked up by a major distributor, we will be doing a full episode on the Skinnerbot techniques.
Like, comment, subscribe, hype me!
Overkill much?